going, Sunshine?
We're going to Dulin. There's a monkey on it, that's how I feel.
As our first destination, we chose the village Dulin and decided to stay at this glamping site, which was honestly the coolest place I've ever stayed at. It looked super cute, the bed was incredibly comfortable, and I was sleeping there like a baby, waking up to the sound of birds singing.
Sunshine, say hi.
Hi.
But the trip there was really exhausting for us, especially since we wanted to travel into nature and doing it without a car was quite a challenge. The trip from Berlin to Dulin took us more than 12 hours and many hours of research and planning, figuring out everything about transport in Ireland and finding the best or just any possible connections. I used so many different websites and apps for transport planning and buying tickets, and coming from Germany we were excited expecting trains and buses to finally work on time. But guess what happened on our first day in Ireland? There was a massive breakdown. Some connection failed, and because of that trains just stopped working almost everywhere. The train we were on ended up being delayed for more than an hour. And of course we had many connections to catch after that, and not all of them were waiting for us. So we had to wait a lot and figure out new ways to get to our destination. As we finally got there, we ran straight to this bike rental and managed to get there 10 minutes before closing. And oh my god, the sweetest guy helped us even though he had already gone home. But he drove back just to help us rent the bikes and recommend some roads to explore. With those bikes we explored around a bit, drove to the ocean, then had some dinner and went to rest before the big hike. The next morning, after getting a bit of sleep, we got up quite early and with our bike started our adventure with a quick breakfast. The village Dulin turned out to be absolutely adorable. I fell in love with the little shops there, the nature, and the people who were so welcoming and eager to help. Even the locals told us that this place is becoming more and more touristic, which is really sad because it's losing its charm and authenticity. And the whole reason for that, and the reason we came there, was because of the cliffs of Moher, which was going to be our first hike. Ready to enjoy the scenery and explore, we immediately ran into our first problem, a gate closed with danger signs right at the beginning of the trail that Kamot had planned for us. We had no choice but to go around, taking us far away from the beautiful ocean views we expected to have. We were still surrounded by beautiful nature and were excited about the moment we'd get to the cliffs and be able to enjoy the view. The way was quite a challenge since we didn't get e-bikes. Going 400 meters uphill wasn't very pleasant.
We're struggling. At least I'm struggling. Riding this bike uphill. A lot uphill. We were down there. And now we're up here. And we're not even close yet to the cliffs. Because cliffs are so far away over there. And we're over here.
But we took a few breaks to rest and explore the surroundings, said hi to some cows, and even got some strawberry and champagne jam from a local shop.
I guess we're gonna get some jam.
Finally, we got to what we thought was the starting point of the hike, where we were supposed to start exploring the cliffs. I want to highlight that we were expecting a long journey ahead of us. The view was incredible, but for some reason we thought we'd be there nearly alone. Turns out we weren't the only ones wanting to see the cliffs of Moher. We still had some hope of having a nice adventure with much fewer people as we were planning to get much further, but that got killed when we walked a bit and met another fence with even more dangerous signs. That was the moment when we really started considering climbing over a fence somewhere to actually go somewhere wild and not be surrounded by hundreds of tourists. But doing it here was literally impossible since there was many workers and security guards who would definitely notice us doing so. So we just stayed there, walked in the opposite direction, trying our best to enjoy it, but the amount of people that were there when we just arrived was nothing compared to how many people were coming now.
What the fuck?
So many cars and buses with endless amounts of tourists coming out of them. It was really crazy. I was expecting anything but this. I can't remember when I was surrounded by so many tourists last time, as I usually choose more wild places in nature. So as more and more people kept coming, we got more and more disappointed and annoyed. As people told us later, there are buses going straight from Dublin to the cliffs of Moher, and at this point we weren't surprised anymore. Also, while being there, we heard many people complaining about the expensive parking and that it wasn't worth paying just to see this.
This is the first time when seeing some beautiful, crazy stuff. I'm more shocked because of people and not because of what I see. You're so pretty. And you are so pretty.
So we didn't see the point in staying there any longer and decided to just go back.
Where? Feels good?
Yes.
I left my sticker there and we started heading back. On the way back, we were thinking more and more about finally climbing over a fence to get to the forbidden path. But we had a lot of doubts, not even because of danger, but because we didn't want to get in trouble since this was a new country for us and we didn't know what consequences we might face. But after thinking for some time next to one of the fences, we saw people coming from there. They turned out to be locals and assured us that it's fine to go there and we won't get in trouble.
This is what I was thinking about. So what we have decided, that we leave our bikes here, we lock them, we climb over this fence and go there to have some girls' dinner. Girl dinner. You know. So that's the plan.
I couldn't stop thinking about how lucky we were that we came there at the same time those people were coming back. After making our way from the road to the cliffs, we were already so happy because the views that opened up for us were even more breathtaking.
This is crazy. That's so cool. Oh my god, I can't.
But as we got close to the edge, we saw barbed wire fences everywhere and a small group of people with a guy pushing apart the bars of the fence to let those people through. We talked to them for a moment and it turned out that he's a guide leading those tourists through the forbidden pass of the cliffs. He was very aware of what he was doing and allowed us to pretend like we were a part of the group and follow him. Along the way, he was helping everyone to get through more fences and warning us about difficult parts of the trail. We were so happy because except for this small group of people with their leader and a couple of workers, there wasn't a single soul. No crowds of tourists blocking the view where you have to wait just to be able to see something. And that was also the moment when I realized how incredibly lucky we were that we met this group, because without them we probably wouldn't have gotten that far on our own, since the path sometimes led pretty close to the edge, which felt quite dangerous, especially after seeing so many danger signs. So again, we turned out to be at the right place at the right time.
I can't believe that we're here. After such a disappointment with cliffs, with millions of tourists, see this and not a single soul next to us. That's the most breathtaking place I've ever seen.
But after walking with them for some time, we decided to separate because we were worried about our bikes that we'd locked to a gate on the side of the road and didn't want to leave them there for too long. But we really enjoyed the moment when the group continued on their path and we stayed there for a bit to enjoy the beauty of nature and having the cliffs just to ourselves before heading back. When we returned to Doolin, we went straight to the beach for a girls' dinner since we didn't manage to have it at the cliffs. It was still quite early, but I didn't want to be on my bike anymore since I wasn't used to sitting on it and was really suffering after the long ride. So we decided to just stay and enjoy the ocean. After our girls' dinner, Robert decided to chill some more while I went to explore a little on my own, which was a very good decision. After walking just a bit more, a crazy view opened up for me. Beautiful ocean with huge waves hitting the rocks I'm standing on. I was finally able to get pretty close to the edge to enjoy this amazing power from the water. And of course I had to call Robert to show him this incredible view. I like to knit and crochet, and Ireland produces big amounts of sheep wool and famous for its sweaters and other knitwear. But I didn't want to just buy a sweater. My idea was to buy yarn from there and knit one myself. But that turned out to be harder than I expected as I couldn't find it anywhere. So on our way to have dinner, we stopped at one more shop that I wanted to check out and finally managed to find and buy some nice yarn there. Then we had some more fish and chips, and to finish the evening we went to the pub. That surprised us with live Irish folk music, which added such a cool atmosphere to an already nice and cozy place.